Welcome to episode 2 of this Project E36. If you are like me and you're wearing shorts and it's freezing outside, you'll want to get this intro out of the way quite quickly. So what we're doing today is taking a look over this E36, telling you all about the problems that we found on the car so far and getting it on some axle stands and having a good rummage around underneath to see what else we can find that's wrong. It's going to dent my wallet. After that, we've been driving the car on some miserable roads, so I'm going to get Jack to give this a maintenance wash, get underneath it and get it a little bit cleaner. Come on, let's go. Bonnet works, that's a good start.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got an engine!
Until it falls on my head.
I think it's important to have an engine in any E36.
No, it's not cool, mate.
It was low. It's lost some then from yesterday if there isn't. It was about here. It was on its minimum level. Oh, that is very low.
Empty that.
Yeah.
This episode of Dan's bought a lemon.
Oh my god, I've gone and bought a lemon again. What am I going to do with my car? You've come in full Debenham spec jacket, which is actually the same colour as BMW coolant. So you're our go-to expert on coolant, so why are we losing coolant? Come on, Olivia. Speak your mind. Come on, Olivia. Speak your mind. Don't be shy. If it's not trashed, I'm not interested. I only like things that are a problem.
That's same ethos for women as well.
Well, yeah, to be fair. So Jack's giving this car a bit of a wash over. We're going to get it as clean as we can on the outside and underneath, basically so that once we get it up on some axle stands we can actually see what we're doing underneath, because it's going to have a lot of grime on it from the road after we've been driving around for the past few days. So fingers crossed we don't get too many problems, but yeah, we better show you a little bit about washing the car as well while we're here. Cue some slow-mo footage. Paintwork is really pretty tidy. There are some minor marks in this in places, but they're very small. I'm quite impressed with it. I'm guessing that this boot has had paint at some stage, colour difference, which you can actually see quite nicely in this light. There are no real dents in the car, which is pretty good. This bonnet, I can't tell if the bonnet's had paint, but either way, the lacquer is top coat is not quite as clear as it is elsewhere on the car. Obviously, BMW badge has seen better days, so that'll get replaced. The next thing is these headlights are getting a lot of moisture inside. You can't really see it on this video, probably from this angle a little bit better. So we're going to have to take a look at those and strip those down and get those fixed, or alternatively get them replaced. Indicators seem okay. There is some particles inside those as well, so they're still going to have to come apart. The front end is all good. The rest of the car is tidy paintwork wise. Obviously we've got bits like this where the original rubbers have failed, like that. The alloys are actually in really good condition, good original condition. But if you look closely, there's a couple of tiny curb marks up here, and the finish of them is not quite perfect anymore. So we'll have to make a decision about how we deal with that. And you can see on those caps there, plastics have faded, but the car's obviously not been detailed. Got a few bulbs out in various places. The glass is generally in reasonable condition, pretty much all the way through. I think there's a little stone chip somewhere that we found. But yeah, overall, exterior-wise, it is quite clean. I'll show you the worst bits. These bits of rust on the arches, and this is starting to bubble and come through here. So that's a concern because there's quite a bit there. So that's going to need to be dealt with ASAP. These wet winter British roads are not going to do that any good right now, so don't want that to get any worse than it already is. I believe that there's some tiny bits that you can feel just under the rim. But other than that, visually, nothing really terrible. Inside, I'll go on to in a little bit, but I want to get this car jacked up first of all and show you underneath and figure out if we find any more nasty surprises. So let's crack on with that. So Alex is just getting this car jacked up now, and actually on first inspection it looks pretty tidy underneath, which is massive relief, quite frankly, because when you buy a car remotely and you can't inspect it yourself and you're going off photos and you've not seen any underside shots, there's always that little bit of nervousness there before it arrives. And even though this is not mega money to buy, it still just tightens the sphincter a little bit more than it should. Yeah. What you laugh?
Tightens the sphincter.
It does. You can get away with that because sphincter is a medical term. So YouTube, thank you. Sphincter is a medical term, by the way. It does tighten the sphincter. There's actually some brand new ones in here. These are going to get christened. Right, we better check that there's an engine under here.
It's got issue.
Oh, it's got an engine. Question is, can we get one of these lights down here?
There is zero coolant.
So we've definitely been losing coolant because there was coolant in there yesterday and now there isn't. It was getting onto the low side, so it's obviously been dropping some. We've got a lovely collection of autumnal leaves. If you are a photographer or a filmmaker, you will really appreciate these rustic autumn colours contrasting against this mare green, sea green paintwork. Absolutely beautiful. I feel like David Attenborough. Complemented nicely in the background by that BMW coolant coloured Debenhams coat. Debenhams there, dear. Debenhams.
Look at that power steering reservoir. Are you supposed to get to that?
You're not, actually. To be fair, I think the M50 manifold that's on this does make that worse.
Yeah, it's worth it for the extra power. Isn't it?
It's worth it for the extra power.
We're getting very close between Leeds, Bradford and Manchester, aren't we?
Yeah.
Very close to the
Epicentre of serial killing. Joking aside, Yorkshire makes the best serial killers. I don't care what you say.
You are from there, so
Correct.
Yorkshire.
Seriously, just think about it, right? Harold Shipman, world's most prolific serial killer, 250 dead. Yorkshire Ripper, Myra Hindley, Ian Brady. Have you got any observations yet, Alex?
Looks alright under there. You can't. There's no obvious signs of like any coolant leakage or anything like that.
So this is a M52 B28 engine that I often rant and rave about. I think it's BMW's best non-performance engine really from its era. M50. There we go. Nice M50 manifold. For those of you that don't know, that M50 manifold basically gets a lot more air in that inlet manifold, and with a big throttle body allows you to squeeze a bit more power out of this M52 engine, which was restricted from factory. It was 193 horsepower. With that M50 manifold in there, actually it's good for around 210 to 220 horsepower once it's mapped appropriately. I'm hearing some ooze from Alex. He must have found some rust. How bad?
I can't push it through, but it's rotten through the first skin.
Right.
In 2 places.
Okay.
Striking point's starting to go a little bit there.
Nothing major.
Bad. No, it's not like I kind of poke my finger through it, but
Just this side.
I'm going to look to the side. Starting to go in the corner of that side. It's gone behind the arc liner there.
Let's have a little look.
It's starting to go there. You can see where they're starting to go.
I don't know if I can see, to be fair.
You can see up there, just behind the wheel. If you look up there, I don't know how hard it is. You see?
Yeah.
It's starting to go there. To see on the other side's here, to worse on the other side. This still looks alright. It's just where one of the bolts has been put through on the other side, it's starting to flake.
Alright.
Will you stop filming my ass crack?
No. I enjoy filming your backside. Oh. Yeah, somebody's gone a little bit OTT with the talking.
120 newton meters.
Yeah. 20,000 Newton meters under the sea.
If it snaps, it snaps.
Isn't that a line from Rocky IV? Ivan Drago.
If it snaps, it snaps.
If he dies, he dies. Is it on the edge of glory, or is it just on the edge of the tyre? That's the question.
It's not bad, like, it's starting to go on the outside. Was it Eagle F1? Never seen Eagle F1 look like that, like.
These could have been on for quite a while. So we found out that the tyres are from 2004. So they've been on for a little while. The calipers are in pretty good condition. Looks like they've either been painted or they've been refurbished at some stage. Discs are actually okay, but they've got surface rust on there, obviously from the car being stood. Brake pads look okay, but we'll probably swap those out anyway. Brake hoses are Goodrich braided hoses on there, so obviously the car's had a bit of attention in the braking department, and it actually does stop quite well and feels quite good.
Yeah, which was obviously, it's got braided hoses on, I bet they've been cleaned up and painted. It's all been greased up, so it looks like it's been looked after.
So what have we found so far? Well, an underside inspection shows us that there's a little bit of rust, and it's starting to come through. A little bit on the bottom of the wing. Some of the jacking points are starting to get a little bit of surface rust on there, and the sill on one side has got basically rust on the first skin. So that's going to have to get dealt with ASAP before it really gets any worse. It's not bad at all. It's actually incredibly clean for one of these, and I see quite a few examples of these 328s, certainly the E36, and they're usually a lot worse. So I'm quite pleased with what we've got, but it definitely needs dealing with. Track rod ends are going to need doing. We've just shown you the Bilstein suspension that's on here. That is also getting pretty rusty and caked up. So for aesthetic reasons alone, I definitely am going to want to swap that out and change it. He's getting a wheel off, so let's go and have a look at what's going on. Probably been on quite a while, although I wouldn't say a ridiculous amount of time. I'm not sure if there's any invoices in the file for the Bilstein suspension. I think these are about 100 quid a corner.
Same on there, the bushes look a bit slack on there.
Yeah.
They're not horrendous, like, but they just look a bit baggy, that's all.
Well, I think the reality is that it's probably best to polybush it anyway. But obviously just not go Black Series, just go
Purple.
Yeah.
Spring looks alright, looks quite new. CG13. Big turbo the one.
The next one is toon. You might think this word is related to a cartoon, but it has nothing to do with the cartoon. In Geordie, toon means town, which actually means the Newcastle city centre. Then let's take a look at an example sentence. I'm going to the Newcastle city centre. I'm going doing the toon. I'm going to the Newcastle city centre. I'm going doing the toon. The next one is Kali.
There are times that I question my friendship with him, and this is probably one of them, but I've never really experienced Korean Billy before, but I like him. So if you've not watched Korean Billy, go and find him on Facebook or YouTube. Or okay. Ibax Springs.
Yeah, so there's your Lowland Springs fan.
Ibax.
Bilstein shops.
Bilsteins.
Yeah, looks like they were yellow at some point. It's got yellow carriers on, but it's had a caliper on.
Yeah.
Goodrich hose again, so it looks pretty nice and rare actually.
Up to the stage. No, I better record this all again. I'll try. This is what I've got to deal with literally on a daily basis. So we've got to the stage where we've had a look under all three arches because it is only a three-wheel car. We've looked under three arches so far, and the car's actually in really good condition. I can't hear myself think. What? So we've got to the stage where we've had a look under three arches, had the wheels off on three sides. Three sides? I bought a triangular E36. It's like a Toblerone. Get it? It's like those little, do you know, it's like those little green sweets that you get in the Quality Street. Yeah, it's the same colour. Green triangle. That's what I'm going to call this car. We now have a name. It was going to be Green Hornet, but I'm going with Green Triangle. It's much more amusing and a lot more chocolatey. Full chocolate spec. That's Jack. Jack's full chocolate spec over there. For some reason, we've ended up with Korean Billy back on.
And that's it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Short video. Sorry, we'll see him doing the
Boss all the time.
That breakfast is boss.
So what sort of conclusions can we come to? Well, the car's actually pretty clean overall. It's got quite a bit of integrity to it, and it looks like a really honest example of an E36 328i Sport. Obviously in this video I've tried to give you a good show around the outside of the car, show you the paintwork, show you the engine bay, and show you a little bit underneath and some of the components, brakes, etc., suspension, and overall everything's in pretty nice working condition. Is it a show car? No. Could it be a show car? Well, it's done a few miles, but do you know something? It wouldn't take actually that much work to get this into a really nice condition and ready for show season next year. Next year? This year. It's 2021 now. So if you've not yet subscribed, then please do so. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and smack the bell icon in the face to make sure that you get updates on all of my latest videos. Thank you to Jack Fletcher Detailing for providing the unit today and giving this car a bit of a clean over, as it's been saltier than something that's been heavily salted by a salty seaman. There's probably a joke in there somewhere, but we won't do it. Thank you to Alex for taking a look over the car, and thank you to Olivia for shopping at Debenhams. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. Quite like the Debenhams outro.